Tonight on Country Squire Radio, we're talking about pipe smoking across the seas, all the way into Japan. Also, we've got a pipe question of the week all about John David and some of his own personal blends and his own personal pipe smoking habits. What do I mean by that? You'll find out for Pipe Question of the Week, as well as quickfire questions, listener feedback, and more. It's a special episode, guys. It's the Bachelor Party episode. Kinda.
Surely not.
On Country Squire Radio. Welcome to Country Squire Radio. Hey, you know what? I should probably actually make sure that we're recording. I just realized all of a sudden I forgot to hit record.
Wow.
Glad I remembered it right now.
Wow, boy, that's good.
There we go. Welcome to Country Squire Radio. I'm Beau.
And I'm John David.
JD.
Hey, Beau. Good evening, man.
Man, good evening to you, sir. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, big week here. So we're
It is the big week.
It is the big week maybe of my life. Getting jumping the broom on Friday, man, getting married.
This is your last podcast as a single man.
As a single man, a single podcaster, a single shop owner, a single pipe smoker. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, this is just I don't know. It's kind of overwhelming, but man, I just feel it very fitting tonight. I'm sitting here drinking some boodles and tonic. And,
oh yeah,
man, you know this is this is a good week. We're just kind of rocking and rolling, man, going with the punches. It's, it is really exciting. We're a little nervous, really excited. Just a little anxious, ready to get it here and man, get all the festivities. Get it on.
Get it out. Well, I remember very specifically, for my wedding, I had the challenge of waking up on the morning of my wedding and having to try to find and sober up all to get them to the church on time.
To get them there,
exactly.
Right? You didn't have trouble getting to the church on time.
No, man, I was there. Something tells me you'll be racing up to the to the church as well, man. It's an exciting time. There's a lot of fun things going on, but we should actually mention, of course, with John David stepping out over the to go on the honeymoon and spend some well-deserved time with his new bride. That means there's going to be a little bit of a change to the live show. Now, there's no change whatsoever to the podcast, specifically over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, as far as the schedule goes.
As far as the recording schedule goes, we will not have a live broadcast. However, as per usual, we will have a new episode of the podcast coming your way. And man, actually, I get to share this with you. Our first episode of this kind of 2-week hiatus, so to speak, is kind of a special one, man. We, me and some of the club members got together and we kind of put together a little bit of a, kind of a love note to you and just kind of a, kind of a way to show our appreciation to you. And we kind of figured it'll go out while you're on your honeymoon, and it's not like you'll be doing anything else. Like, you'll be able to listen to the podcast.
I should just listen to that, right?
Just listen to the podcast.
That little love letter. Yeah,
exactly.
No, that's great.
Exactly. No, man, it really
is so exciting, man. I was thrilled to hear that some of our Squire, pipe club community was, willing to get involved on this thing, and and just kind of help man the fort while I was away. It was really, really special for me. So,
absolutely, man.
Yeah, this is it's an exciting season. It really is.
So that's kind of a special episode that's coming out next week on the podcast feed. Following that, Brian Levine, the man, the myth, the legend himself, will actually be coming to fill your shoes and probably bust right through them.
Dude, I just love that. It makes me so happy. I feel like it's kind of we've spawned this amalgam between Brian's show and our show, and now man, I don't know. I'm just so honored to have Brian fill in for me while I'm gone. It's really, really kind of him to come aboard.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited to get that episode out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Brian and I had a great conversation on kind of the state of tobacco journalism, especially with some of the recent events and this year in particular. Kind of what the expectations are in keeping up with what's going on within the industry and the challenges that are there. And we kind of get a little real in that episode. So I'm looking forward to putting that one out there and getting some feedback. While the cat's away, the mice are going to play as they speak.
That's exactly right.
It should be a lot of fun.
Right.
Also, man, I mentioned last episode, I want to make mention of this as well. Yeah. So there's this new video game coming out. And me and some of the pipes, the Squire club members, as well as just Country Squire Radio listeners are trying to get together and have kind of a fun time playing the video games together.
Yeah.
It's also a kind of a fun thing to do since we won't have the live broadcast and that kind of thing going on. So if you've got an Xbox, if you're planning on getting this game that's coming out actually tomorrow as we record this live, called Sea of Thieves, it's kind of a pirate MMO RPG. It's going to be a lot of fun. Who knows if there's going to be tobacco or not, but there'll be a lot of tobacco smokers, a lot of pipe smokers playing, and we'd love to have you join us. My username is House of Jorvik. I posted that out on the Squire's Twitter account. And I'm hoping Mark VV can kind of help me in terms of figuring out exactly how we're all going to get together and play in game.
Sure.
But one way or the other, it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you've got an Xbox, if you're going to be playing that game, we would love to have you join us. I think the first game is actually going to be tomorrow night. So that's going to be Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Love to have you with us if you are able. Man, also, speaking of people who are with us, man, we've got new additions to the International Country Squire Radio Pipe Club.
Man, they're joining at the Squire level, right?
That's right, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Both these guys joining at the Squire level. Are you ready for this?
Am I ready for you to really offend these people's God-given names?
I am going to say them the way that they were intended to be said. Of course, I'm talking about Andy Fletcher.
Yeah.
Fletcher.
Man, Andy, thanks for joining, man, the Country Squire Radio International Pipe Club.
And then we've got oh man, this is gonna be a tough one. Johan Nathanson.
You really can't mess it up.
It's John Nathanson.
John Nathanson, man. Andy and John, gosh, we appreciate you so much. Of course, all our friends that help us out on the Country Squire International Pipe Club through Patreon. That's just a big way that Beau and I are able to continue to do this and bring you content and just have connect friends in the pipe world community. We're really glad we could do that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I think I'm right. And when we do come back with the live show, we'll actually be announcing some of the plaqued members of the Country Squire.
That's right.
Radio Club. Of course, these are the members who have been with us at the Squire level for over a year. Who get their names on the wall here in the shop.
That's right.
And so, more information on that when we return to the live show in 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Any other news other than, of course?
Well, it's interesting. I actually was in Houston, Texas this past week, which was really a lot of fun. And it was a sad circumstance. My great aunt passed away, of course, have a lot of family in East Texas there around the Houston area. And Aunt Ruthie, she was just a precious woman, and the monumental thing for me is that she was kind of the last in that generation. My grandmother's generation of people to pass away, that World War II era. My grandmother, her siblings, she was the last.
Was she
one.
the youngest?
She was the youngest. Yeah, she was. She was 88. But man, just not a completely unexpected occurrence, but one that I felt it was very important to go visit family members and that kind of thing. But what's neat, of course, anytime I get back to Houston, which is, more kind of my hometown. I mean, I was born there and have a lot of family there. I love going to Houston, but man, made it by the Briar Shop in Houston, Texas. It's down.
That's right. I saw these pictures.
That's right, man. It's such a cool part of town. It's in Rice Village, which is right next to Rice University, of course, one of the top institutions of higher learning in the U.S. And man, just saw some really good friends that are there. Man, Ross Tyken and Austin Schwartz, they both work there at the Briar Shop and are just real professionals, man. I mean, they're the kind of guys like, I always tell folks, like, when they, say, I'm going to Houston, where should I go for, the pipe smoking scene, man? Go visit Ross at the Briar Shop. And I always tell them it's kind of like the Country Squire's like classier older uncle. Like if the Country Squire were just a little older and a good bit more sophisticated,
right.
Like it would be, like less, less of the
So still country, but more sophisticated country.
Yeah, just more sophisticated. I don't know. There's
they got the lights. They got all their lights working.
Yeah, all their light bulbs are working. Right. like the spill in the corner, like they've cleaned that up by now. It hasn't sat there for 40 years.
Right.
And it's just, man, the Briar Shop's just a great shop. It's a 56, 57-year-old shop.
Man.
Just a really cool institution. Man, tonight I'm actually smoking my clay pipe that I got from there. They have these really cool little clay pipes, and they even have them labeled the Briar Shop on there. But they sell these as tasting pipes, and it's just such a great idea, man. You can go in there, buy one of these tasting pipes for under $5, and then while you're there at the shop, you can taste the different tobaccos that they have to offer and know which one you want to take home. So
nice.
Anyway, if you're ever down in Houston, which is just a cool city, big city, just a lot of vibrant, interesting things going on in that town, man, please check out the Briar Shop. It's just a great place. And man, tell Ross and Austin hey for us.
That's nice. So you buy the pipe, and of course, along with that bundle comes various small pipe portion tobaccos. like a nickel, no, no nickel, dime,
No, right, or a 2-bit hit.
two bit hit.
Yeah,
You got a little 2-bit hit in it.
yeah, because there's no free sample anymore, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so it's good. Yeah,
I
it's
always
good.
always like hearing
Isn't
what's
that cool?
going on and how people
Yeah.
have gotten a little creative with that.
I know, right? Yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
I just love that concept, man. They this really cool clay pipe. These are made in Europe. I think Ross said they're made in Germany, and man, just such a cool thing to have around. So anyway, check them out if you're ever down that way.
All right, man. So we've got a fun episode tonight, and it's one that has been kind of requested to some degree
Yeah, we've
for
had it for a while.
quite some
Yeah,
time
on the docket.
However, it was most recently inspired by a tweet that we got in from a Punk Rock Piper on Twitter, who actually tweeted in a picture of a pipe that he got while he was in Japan. Beautiful looking pipe. And he says that he said, let's see. He says, I was in Japan this month. Koike.
Bless you.
Well, for the record, I mispronounced John Nathanson earlier, so
Right.
that's where I'm at. It says like it's angel hair, 100% grown in Japan, Virginia.
Yeah.
He said, "Have either of you guys ever tried this particular tobacco?" Well, I have not, but I will say that this has kind of inspired this idea for jumping into what it's like, or what kind of the state of smoking your pipe in Japan is. What is it like to smoke your pipe in Japan?
Yeah, that's right. So, pipe smoking in Japan, right? There, we've got, folks like Punk Rock Piper that have, asked for more information about the culture of Japanese pipe smoking, and also pipe carving in Asia, as more of a broader sense. The tradition of tobacco goes way back in the in East Asia, and it's one of those things that a lot of us Westerners were just not as familiar with, and so we thought we'd explore at least a small part of that from the on the Japan side. And so anyway, yeah, man, great photo that he sent in. That is a Kisseru pipe, which is a really interesting pipe. We'll talk about very shortly, but just a cool pipe that was synonymous with pipe smoking and tobacco usage in Japan for centuries, actually.
Oh
So,
wow, yeah.
and in the West, we're just not as familiar with these, Japanese carvers and pipes. Our focus, historically, and you could call this a bias or whatever, but just kind of that, not just in pipe smoking, but just in general, our kind of worldview is more Eurocentric, Western centric. We, just in the past, 50, 60 years have been exposed as a culture more to, to the great beauty that, East Asia offers, both in culture and tradition and history and literature and all these things. And so the same goes with artisan pipe making in Japan, which is kind of interesting. Pipe smoking has existed in Japan for centuries, and actually in the 16th century, that's kind of the earliest evidence of pipe smoking that begun in that part of the world. So the Portuguese, you had, of course, these great European empires that were, going all over the world, trade, the whole mercantilism, conquering parts of the world, using resources in one place to make money in another place. And, for good or for bad, that's just kind of the nature of what took place there for several hundred years.
Was this part of the East India Trading Company, or is this predates that?
Well, this is going to be East India Trading Company would have been a British
Oh,
thing.
right, that's right.
Yeah, but this is actually Portuguese, of course, and back in that time period, we're talking, 1500s essentially. A lot of those maritime powers are powers that we don't really associate with world power today. But we had countries like Portugal, like Spain, Denmark. The Netherlands. These were countries that were very, very powerful worldwide. As far as trade and this kind of mercantilism. Getting
Yes, the technology of the day was ships, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And if you could master the sea, you could master the world, kind of thing. And so the Portuguese introduced the tobacco to this part of the world in the mid 1500s, and that's when this Kisseru pipe kind of became the standard. It was they had a very interesting way of processing this tobacco once it got to Japan. And so the tobacco was incredibly fine cut, and still is to this day. Actually, it's probably the closest descendant that we readily see available in the United States to this tobacco today. is like roll your own tobacco, like cigarette rolling tobacco.
Oh wow, yeah. So like that's
So
very fine.
like an incredibly
Yeah.
fine shag cut, right? Now the of
Huh.
course the strain of tobacco, this is essentially Virginia tobacco that's just really really finely cut. But it's a it really is perfect for those small bowls, thin, small little pipes. And so the Kisseroo became the standard pipe for this type of tobacco. Very small bowl, thin lines, a long shank with a small stem, and eventually most of those pipes became kind of metal bowl, long shank with maybe a bamboo base or something of that nature, and then a metal mouthpiece there. So
Interesting.
the tobacco was called kazami, which is a shredded tobacco. Actually, kazami just means shredded, which
Well,
is kind of interesting.
can I back you up for a second?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
so you said wood, metal, and then there was a third product in there.
Bamboo.
So, man,
Yeah.
why? That seems very ornate, very complicated in
Yeah.
design. Was it specifically for like? Was it kind of for the beauty aspect, or was there a reason for so many different items being used?
Well,
Especially when you got like a whole like pipe made of clay that's just clay in
I
your hand.
know,
You
I
know what I
know,
mean?
right? Yeah, I'm not really sure the choice of medium for that
Hmm.
reason. Of course, that type of tobacco. Typically, you think of Virginia tobacco stuff that's cut real thin, stuff that's burned fat, that is drier. Kind of tobacco tends to burn hotter, so
Oh, interesting.
maybe that tobacco, and because of its strength, this tobacco is very strong, and I keep speaking in past tense. You can still get this tobacco readily available in Japan. It's not as common in the United States, but
Gotcha.
um, very strong tobacco. And so, small bowl, longer shank, kind of cool the smoke off. That's just how it evolved. It
Interesting.
seemed to make the most sense for them.
Yeah. Huh.
So yeah, and again, the makeup of this tobacco, the Kazami, it's this shredded tobacco, and it's incredibly stringy, right? It's one of those tobaccos that again, it kind of most resembles in the American market anyway, probably this roll your own tobacco, which is used for cigarettes. But we actually, a matter of fact, can you hand me that Three Sales jar right there? This is Three Sales, which is produced by Daughters and Ryan. Which is, of course, Mark Ryan, modern savior of Perique and
Right. Exactly.
blender of fine pipe tobaccos and cigars and other products. But again, this is not a direct correlation, but you'll just kind of get the idea. Very stringy, kind of clumpy tobaccos, very appropriate for those short, kind of compact smokes. So
It stands out.
it does. So this tobacco is perfect. It was basically rolled up into a little ball. And then put inside the end of this pipe, and so the like punk rock piper shared his pipe, very small bowl. You just kind of roll your tobacco up into a small little ball, and then poke down in there. It won't take you very long to smoke it, but the tobacco is incredibly strong, and so it's one of those that
Get that hit.
gets the job done relatively quickly. Yeah.
When you say roll into a ball, I mean, do you mean like a fine, tight ball, or more of just kind of a
No,
theoretical ball?
no, a looser ball,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, it'll be maybe tighter than you would think
Huh.
because yeah, that bowl is really small, so it's one of those things that you would just kind of poke in there. But yeah, I mean, not so tight that it becomes basically a pill, for instance,
Right, right,
but
right.
yeah, something that's relatively compact. Yeah, that's what you'd want. So, and that was the gold standard actually for uh, you know tobacco usage in Japan until essentially World War II. It's fascinating. Of course, we see, Japan. It's a very isolated country for centuries. That was kind of something that their government chose. Just over the centuries to stay isolated, and then through westernization, and then of course World War II, they get exposed to this greater world. Of course, Western goods, European goods, and along with that goes tobacco smoking and tobacco practices and all those other things, and with that the briar pipe. And so
Now,
it's just kind of fascinating.
okay, so this is terrible, but like most of what I know in terms of kind of the westernization of Japan comes
Yeah.
from a movie called The Last Samurai,
Uh huh.
starring Tom Cruise,
Yeah.
because of course Tom Cruise is the last samurai.
Right.
But But anyway, in that movie, one of the things that was kind of
You
like
just lost all credibility with all our Japanese listeners.
right. No,
Which, by the way, if you're a Japanese listener, we want to know who
correct
you are.
us. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we actually want to know. Beau and I were talking about this before the show. We don't know if we have any regular listeners from Japan, so we'd love to know that.
We got a pretty strong international reach, but I don't think we do have very many
Yeah.
in Japan.
Yeah.
But no, and to be clear, I'm mocking the fact that Tom Cruise is the last samurai. But what I'm saying is that in that movie, one of the villains who's kind of pulling the emperor in a specific kind of westernization of Japan direction. He's smoking a cigarette like a lot. Like it's almost like the cigarette is kind of like this representation of kind of an American culture that's apart from the Japanese kind of traditionalist culture. Then that's kind of the narrative of the movie. But I'm kind of curious. I mean, did cigarettes kind of take off and then the briar pipe, or was it kind of at the same time? Or
to be honest, I'm not sure, Beau.
okay.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that might have evolved, at similar time periods. But I'm just not sure. Yeah, it's of course, pipe smoking. In our part of the universe, kind of came along first, and then we had the evolution of the cigarette. And so, we of course in Japan they did have a pipe. It was the kizaru,
Right.
but what came first, the briar pipe or rolling a cigarette into or rolling tobacco into a cigarette? Not sure, but if you count the kizaru as a pipe, which of course it is, then obviously the pipe came first, and then eventually evolved into that. My guess, which I can base on absolutely nothing, would be that the modern cigarette kind of it came along around the same time as the pipe, the briar European style pipe. Just because of the influence of the West, in that kind of World War II era
And that would have been the
generation.
era where like the cigarette was kind of in its heyday, right?
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, from a usage standpoint, but also a socially acceptable standpoint. Yeah, which is kind of and frankly, if we're looking at it from a just a moral you know point of view, probably the cigarette. Yeah, I mean maybe they shouldn't have been used so much even then, but like it was probably a much better product back then than it is now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So kind of
Well,
interesting.
that's interesting. I just very specifically remember
Yeah.
like the idea of the cigarette, and I can't remember if there was pipe smoking in the movie or not. If there was, it would have been like on the good guy's side. You know what I mean? But the cigarette just kind of seemed to be this kind of Western influence symbol, essentially.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But of course, with the briar pipe being, I guess, more Italian than American from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Coming in and maybe changing the game a little bit.
Well, of course, Briar by that point, really by the middle of the 19th century, had become kind of the gold standard for pipes in the Western world. And so yeah, once the Americans and then therefore Europeans kind of came back into the Asian market, that was just kind of brought with them. And so and what was interesting, of course, we've talked about people like Douglas MacArthur, who during World War II was an incredibly important figure, not just in America, but also, I mean, this was the main representative in many ways of the United States in countries like Japan and Korea and the Philippines and so on and so forth. And of course, Douglas MacArthur, incredibly, a well-known pipe smoker, and so
Right.
there was these amazing, these iconic images of him smoking his pipe, and that wasn't lost upon the Japanese. It was just kind of interesting thing. And so, you had really right there in the 1940s, your first Western style pipe makers started popping up, and of course we've all heard the name Suge. Suge is a modern Japanese pipe carving house, I guess you would call it. But really, Suge is synonymous with, they might be the Savinelli or Peterson of the pipe making world in Italy. Although they would probably consider themselves maybe closer to a Dunhill or a Castello or something like that. Yeah, and with good with good good evidence for that. I mean, they're just incredible. But they start all the way back there in that kind of 1940s, 1950s era. Of course, it was, and I don't know how to say all these words because I'm a redneck Southerner, but Kiichiro Suge started making these cherry wood pipes back in the 40s, and of course started making more of the of the Western style pipes, the Italian, the British style billiards and bulldogs and things of that nature. And of course, you had a lot of Western servicemen that were stationed there in Japan, and so they had a big market for that type of thing. Pipe tobacco was readily available on American bases and things of that nature. So, it just kind of interesting.
Now, with the with kind of the arrival of pipes with kind of larger bowls, did that impact the tobacco? I mean, you mentioned that it was pretty
Yeah.
strong in its tiny, compact
That's right. So
form.
so you started seeing more tobacco from around the world consumed there, which means you're going to have different types of tobacco, different cuts, things like flake tobaccos, English style tobaccos, aromatics eventually moving in, things that just weren't traditionally available in Japan. And so of course these were not just consumed by the American service members that were there, but eventually got popular with the locals, too. And so in the 50s, once briar, it started with cherry wood, and then the briar kind of came along and became readily available just as things kind of evened out in that market. Um, and the Japanese pipe making market finally broke into the Western world in the late 70s. And this is really interesting. You had these just really well known pipe makers in Japan, and they didn't really have a toehold outside of their country yet. And so it was one of those things where, they were really well known in their country. I mean, you think about Japanese precision and craftsmanship. We equate it, Japanese craftsmanship. We equate it with like German, Swiss. Just high precision art. Incredibly exquisite. Items that are produced with just lots of painstaking effort. And so they had this kind of quality product, but weren't really exposed to the European and American markets. And that changed in the late 70s as some of these Japanese carvers and carving houses started to intermingle with some of the bigger names in the West.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough, recently we talked about Lars Iverson, who passed away recently. He was, of course, one of the most well-known pipe carvers of all history, and just a royalty literally in our field. And so they went to Denmark and began to collaborate with him, and they couldn't
Oh,
speak a
wow.
couldn't speak a lick of
Wow.
Danish. Went
Yeah.
to Italy but couldn't speak a lick of Italian. But these people, they could communicate through their craft and through this broken communication, but symbolic love of carving these exquisite pieces. They were able to forge these new relationships, and
The international
eventually.
language of the pipe.
No, that's right.
That's
That's exactly
great.
right. And to read some of the stories about these guys trying to communicate, legendary pipe makers from thousands of miles away that don't speak the same language, have never experienced each other's cultures, but are able to share this love of turning a piece of wood into this fine, exquisite smoking instrument, which is just kind of neat. So,
That's awesome. Yeah.
Suge, was kind of the main carving house, and it gave birth to a lot of other carvers. So you had Smio Satu, which of course is one of the biggest names in pipe carving. From Japan over the past 40 years. Of course, Satu, he only carves about 40 pipes a year now. I think he is just very small in his production. But again, his least expensive pipes are going to be $800-900. I mean, something
Man.
like this, just
Yeah.
very very high end things. But you had other carvers as well. Legendary carver Hiroyuki Toki Tokutami Tokutomi.
Gesundheit.
That's right. And man, these are people that literally, I mean, you should Google some of the incredible work that they've done. There's a lot of Danish influence, but there were very lots of they were very intent on bringing that Asian twist to this kind of Western pipe. And so
Mhm.
you might at first look kind of see this pipe, and maybe it would make you think of a 1970s era Danish freehand, but as you studied it closer, it would start to exhibit these interesting interesting facets. It's really neat. And so, you know, known amongst Japanese pipe carving, you've got things like severe lines and angles, very, very dramatic flair as far as just the lines and the styling of the wood goes.
Huh, yeah.
Carving, we talked about the blowfish, and of course, a very popular shape in Asian pipe carving. But carving in Japan, lots of carving that is very intent on following the grain, letting the grain tell the pipe carver where to go,
Hmm.
kind of, and you see that just in a whole variety of ways. And really, the lack of fear in trying something new, in the Western realm, it kind of, certainly there in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, you just saw a lot of with beautiful pipes, incredible shapes, but a lot of different takes on the same kind of thing, right? And these trailblazing carvers from Japan, they were intent on pushing the envelope. Just what is gonna be the next thing, and find these pipes that look like a seahorse or a corkscrew, maybe more than it might a Western billiard or a bulldog or a Zulu or whatever. So just really fascinating, pipes. Kind of interesting. High amounts of precision and again painstaking labor. You think about the just exquisite craftsmanship that goes into this kind of stuff, but the lacquers and stains that they would actually produce and do produce to apply to some of these pipes literally takes months to cure, months to produce, because of the amount of ingredients. They realize that it needs to mix a certain amount of time, or steep. There's just all this incredible tediousness that goes into making some of these pipes, but that's what they're known for, which is really something.
The quality speaks for
Yeah.
itself.
No, that's right.
Is it more about is from that standpoint, is it more about the look and the shine, or is it about the actual smokability of, the pipe once it's all said and done?
I'm sure it's both.
Yeah.
I'm sure, of course, you pay for what you would assume would be both, but the pipe obviously looks stunning. It's just beautiful.
Right.
And so a lot of these. There was also. And I forget the carving house that did this, or the design house, but there was a collaboration between Dunhill, I think it was the Namiki company, and they did this series of pipes that eventually Suge uh, uh, basically, don't want to say copied, but kind of elaborated on, and it was this
It's heavily
style.
influenced
It's
from.
heavily influenced by it. It was a style of pipe that basically showed the Japanese seasons, with all the different leaves and colors. And you think about those beautiful old Japanese pieces of art depicting, just all kinds of things that, bright colors, very stylized. And of course, they would put that on pipes with bamboo accents and things of that nature. But other carvers, Shizu Arita and Tahio Arita. Of course, you're going to have to Google these names and just try to get close, because I am, a redneck from the South and can't say half the words in English, much less Japanese. But
It'd be weird if we could.
I know it might be, yeah. But just amazing, amazing carvers that are now going into the second, generation of that family. These are people that grew up, maybe learning from their parents at a very young age. And even back in the 1930s and 40s, you had folks coming from, different boutique industries. Somehow they got into pipes because they realized that there was a market there. Their children became kind of the greatest Japanese pipe makers of the 20th century. And now their children are starting to produce pipes today. And so you've got this kind of generation, really folks that are maybe a little older than our age, Beau, kind of in that, 30s, maybe early 40s range, that,
Yeah.
that are just making these exquisite pieces, and they're carrying the torch for modern Japanese pipe carving.
I
And
love
so,
that legacy
um,
aspect too, man. That's beautiful.
I do, and I'd love to just get to see some of these people's workshops, and experience what they do. The stunning amount of uh, you know uh, apprenticeship that goes into their whole system is just really remarkable. And so I'd love to witness that. But eventually, the Japanese pipe carving, it has evolved to be more into a kind of a Western. mindset or market. And so you've got these high end carvers that are still producing these amazing, boutique pipes that are very, pushing the envelope, using all kinds of really cool materials and hard to make stains and finishes and, just really, things of that nature. But you've got companies like Suge now that are, able to mass produce pipes that are more familiar to the Western eye. And so, with Suge's newer iterations, you've got these, kind of pocket-sized billiards and bent brandies and volcanoes and things that are familiar enough to the Western eye that we are comfortable with putting in our regular rotation, but still feature some of that Japanese flair, which I think is really great, particularly with the bamboo. Some dramatic lines, but you still from a distance know, hey, that's a billiard when it comes down to it. And so, just a nice marriage there. Yeah, nice marriage there. So, anyway, Japanese pipe making, man, Japanese tobacco usage and pipe smoking in Japan. It's got a long, storied history and a long future to come. We're excited to see where it goes.
I always love when we go international.
I know, right? Yeah,
it's always
it's great.
It's always a trip. I don't even know our own history well enough, it's so great to be able to kind of get the idea of kind of the evolution of pipe smoking overseas and bringing it on in today. Man, you talk about wanting to sit in kind of some of these craft shops, and how amazing would it be for Country Squire Radio Japan, do a live show.
I know, right?
That'd be incredible.
Maybe we should go to Tokyo. I have a friend that lives in Tokyo.
Or I'll tell you, there is a pipe shop here in America, though, that I do hope that we get a chance to bring the show to at some point.
I think it will happen in the sooner rather than later future.
I hope so, man. Of course, I'm talking about the amazing pipe craftsmen and women over at Missouri Meerschaum.
That's right. The folks at Missouri Meerschaum, of course, are sponsors of our show, and we're so proud to partner with them to bring you Country Squire Radio. And man, Missouri Meerschaum, of course, it's the most storied pipe maker in American history. They have just such an incredible catalog of pipes, and one of their newer lines that they've come out with. Just
excited about
a lot of fun. I really am. I've been stoked about this since I learned about them. But it's the Outlaw series of pipes. The Outlaw series of corncob pipes from Missouri Meerschaum offers pipe enthusiasts an Old West experience with the cool smoking Jesse James, Bell Star, and Cole Younger pipes, which is just a really neat collection of pipes. The Jesse James pipe we'll talk about tonight. This nose warmer pipe. These are all three shorter pipes,
right up on there.
But this is straight from their literature there at Missouri Meerschaum. They say Crow Valley Pipe Company and Missouri Meerschaum have collaborated to introduce the Outlaw series of corncob pipes as a new addition to our popular family of nose warmer style pipes. The Jesse James was an infamous outlaw who may be best remembered as a bank robber, but he's also one of the first to hold up a moving train. The Adair train robbery, for example, was significant in establishing Jesse James's reputation as an outlaw and folk hero. The Jesse James pipe was inspired by a steam engine smokestack and features a wide nickel band. Comfortable in the hand, the Jesse James has its own unique label and is branded on the side with the Outlaw Series Bandit logo, which is just really, really cool looking. This pipe, like all the pipes in the Outlaw series, has a genuine hardwood insert at the bottom of the bowl and is only available as a straight, non-filtered pipe. So just a really cool pipe, man. It's a great collaboration between Crow Valley Pipe Company and Missouri Meerschaum. They've done this before where they make these collaborative pipes, particularly using really high grade elements. This has just a really nice high quality stem, that nickel band, and of course just the beautiful dark stain that you would associate with some Missouri Meerschaum. So check them out, the Missouri Meerschaum Outlaw series, and particularly the Jesse James. Man, smoke one. If you've already got one, if you've already got your hands on one, man, please tweet us a photo. We'd love to tweet that back out and show the world.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But big shout out, of course, to the good folks at Missouri Meerschaum. It's a great way to let them know you appreciate them for sponsoring this show. Pipe question of the week this week comes in from Corey. Corey writes in, he says, JD, this is to you. He said, what is the most popular blend that you have created that you personally don't smoke or enjoy? So, of course, all your children, you love all your children equally. But, then there's
some more equally than others.
Yeah, exactly. Was it when all animals are equal, but pigs are more equal? Was from, wasn't that from Farmhouse, Barnhouse,
Animal Farm.
Animal Farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
I think
Yeah.
I think that's the thing.
I don't remember that quote, but
Kill
that
the
sounds
pig,
like
drink his blood. No, wait, that's from the.
that probably
Lost
is from
Boys or
Animal
something
Farm.
like that. No, I can't remember. Anyway, yes, the pipe tobacco, you created it, but it's not necessarily your go-to.
Yeah. So, wow, what a question! It's like, which one of your kids have you made that everyone else likes but you don't like? And yeah, probably the most popular blend that we have at the Squire that I don't particularly care for is gonna be Summer Breeze. And
Ooh, really?
I don't particularly care for Summer Breeze. It is a tobacco that we sell in droves, and I went through a season where I really liked it. Obviously because I blended it and we came out with it, and am very proud of it.
But did you get sick of it, or I mean, because
I think I probably just got sick of it, and it's one of those tobaccos that I've been able to try, since blending and consuming a lot of, and I've found that I'm just not a fan.
I mean,
Yeah.
it seems,
And I'm telling you, we sell pounds of this stuff. I've got a customer in Canada, believe it or not, who orders 3 pounds every 2 months. I mean, that's a lot of tobacco.
you know those Canadians.
That's a lot of Summer Breeze.
That's a lot of Summer Breeze.
And
it's very
yeah.
much an aromatic, right?
No, it is. This is a peach flavor aromatic.
Very,
and,
very fruity.
It's fruity.
Sweet.
It's sweet. It's it's not as syrupy as some of the tobaccos that we have, and so it's not necessarily a moisture content. It's just a tobacco that I don't find myself reaching for. It's one of those tobaccos. If I had to pick 3 to live with the rest of my life, it probably wouldn't make the cut, but apparently would make a lot of other people's cuts, which is great.
All right, can I flip the question on you?
Okay.
Do you have a pipe tobacco that you've blended that you really love, but you seem to be like, but nobody else loves it as much as you?
Wow.
That like the kid that you love and you
Yeah.
keep putting them out there, but they never get picked in the dodgeball team.
Yeah.
And like, go on, Billy the kid, your kid.
Yeah. Man.
Sorry,
I may have to revisit that.
Okay.
Yeah, I may have to revisit that. There's a couple that come to mind, but really the ones that I have really blended and also come to love have, for whatever reason, by the grace of God and acts of mercy on our kind patrons, have also become popular.
Have taken off, yeah.
Probably my favorite tobaccos that we sell here at the Squire, Fleur de Lis, Pirates Alley, and Merriweather. These are tobaccos. Merriweather, of course, was blended years and years ago.
Right.
Pirates Alley is one that I reformulated. We came back out with, and Fleur de Lis, of course, great seller. We've had that since the New Orleans Pipe Show a few years ago. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'd say the ones I like, other people seem to like, which is good. Maybe I've probably gotten more lucky than anything.
No, I get it.
Anyway, kind of cool.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, John, Mr. Tastemaker over here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I like it, so therefore everyone must like it.
No, not at all.
Well, it's a great question, Corey. Thank you so much for that pipe question of the week. And hey, if you've got a pipe question of the week for us, be sure to send those in. show@countrysquireradio.com.
Great question. Kind of push the envelope there a little bit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Challenge me on my own stuff. Yeah, that's good.
Quick fire questions.
Ow!
All right, man. Quick fire questions, of course, brought to us by the Tin Society. More on them in just a minute.
Yes.
All right. So these are actually sent in from John Fote. I always mispronounce his name. He always corrects me. Love you, John. He says,
Love John, long-time friend of the Country Squire.
Oh, absolutely. Can y'all tell? I'm sorry. Here is his selection. It is food inspired, and he says, "Can you tell that I'm waiting on my lunch break?" LOL. Here we go. You ready for this?
Yep.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes by a hair.
Okay.
By a hair.
All right. So John David, we're in the South.
You can do so much with the doggone pancake.
You can do so much with a doggone waffle.
What are you gonna you can
put
put
some fried
blueberries
chicken
in
on it?
Well, okay, I'll
You
give
put
you
some
that.
glaze on that fried chicken.
I'll give you that.
You put some hot sauce on that fried chicken. You serve it with beer. You can have beer, chicken, and waffle at any time during the day, and it is socially acceptable.
Here in our zip code.
Yeah, in our zip code. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, have you seen the kind of things though that IHOP injects into pancakes?
Oh, IHOP.
Entire chunks of cheesecake, like gobs of
It's messed up, man.
maple syrup, covered brown sugar clumps. I'm just saying, I don't know all the fruit and things that you could put on a delicious, exquisite pancake. I don't know, man. Pancakes by hair. Look, I'm a Waffle House fan as much as any Southerner. I love a doggone waffle. I love these waffles irons that you can get now that make your waffle look like the Death Star and stuff like that. That's good stuff. But pancakes by just a thin line.
And you can waffle a lot of things. You put it in there, you flip it around, and you can waffle a brownie. You can waffle. You can do some waffling, man.
I waffle every day.
Waffle with me. All right, Scotch or bourbon?
Scotch.
Heavily depends on the drink.
Yeah, on the brand or whatever. Yeah, but
Scotch, good bourbon. Then good Scotch.
Yeah.
Bad Scotch, bad bourbon, then bad bourbon. I mean, if there is such a thing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. There's some bad bourbons.
We have sampled a few of those bad bourbons.
Bad bourbons. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
The thing is, I will go at least with a bourbon if I'm not enjoying it. I'm not
just
thinking
mix it with Coke.
Well, yeah, right.
I mean, really, just pour some Sprite in there, and it's fine.
There's some terrible scotches out there, and you're like, this isn't even Scotch. You know what I mean? Like,
you just tastes more like rubbing alcohol.
You're just mad at it.
Yeah. You're mad. You're just angry.
Yeah, but if it's good, stuff, then good Scotch. But that's hard to say because I like good bourbon too. Both. Yes. Turkey or ham?
Turkey.
All the way.
Yep.
Gobble it up. And then finally, steak or lamb?
Steak. But I really like lamb. Yeah, especially with that mint jelly that always comes with it,
Oh, man. Okay, so this is tough because, I mean, obviously, I feel like if I'm going to do something special, then I'm going to have a steak involved. Right. Like if I'm going to make a special dinner, steak's always top of my list. Now, that being said, we're coming up on Easter. And so lamb, sometimes a traditional meal.
Yeah, I know some people do that at Easter. Yeah.
Last year we made some lamb kebabs where you take like a branch of rosemary, and you actually you scrape off all the prickly bits,
shuck all of it
except for the end, and then you skewer some lamb and some vegetables and everything, and then you roast it. Oh my gosh. It's so good. And then you put it in like a wrap and put some mint leaves in there, and it's just amazing.
I wasn't hungry.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with steak. I love lamb. I really do. I do love lamb, but steak. I mean, you can't beat a good steak.
John, great questions, man.
Absolutely, and of course, those questions brought in, sponsored by the Tin Society. Now, the Tin Society is an amazing online service that you can actually get pipe tobaccos sent to your door every single month. And we're not just saying like, I'm gonna get these pipe tobaccos that I've got already. No. You're gonna be sampling new pipe tobaccos on a monthly basis.
That's right.
And it's a great way to actually expand your palate so that okay, I don't have to commit to a full 10 if I don't necessarily know what I'm getting into. This way, every single month, you're expanding your palate, you're discovering new tobaccos, and you're doing so thanks to the good folks at Tin Society.
Yeah, it's a great concept. This is the box subscription service for the pipe smoking community. And if you haven't tried it yet, you're really missing out. Of course, there's so many great tobaccos out there. We all get overwhelmed with the number that just the sheer volume. You could never get to all of them. But the guys at the Tin Society, they're picking out not just the greatest hits, but also some of the more hard to find, interesting tins that you may not be aware of or may not have heard of, and you're going to get to try these every month. There's enough for a couple bowls. You get to really see what you think about this, and that way, if you want to go spend $10, $15, $20, $25 on that particular tin, then you can. You already know that you're going to enjoy it and appreciate it, and so it's just a great concept, great way to try new tobaccos, to expand your palate, to broaden your horizon. And of course, you can do that at tinsociety.com.
Don't forget to use the code Squire for 20% off when you do it.
That's right.
That's right. Squire for 20% off on your first month's service. All right, man. Let's do feedback. Okay, this first one is an iTunes review. You want to take this first one for us?
Yeah. Eric smokes a pipe on iTunes.
So he does.
He says, like I'm there. Hey there, JD and Beau. First off, thank you for making a radio talk show that is actually enjoyable to listen to, that doesn't make me feel like I want to fall asleep behind the wheel.
Wake up, Eric!
Yeah, I know, right? Please don't do that. Great content that is delivered by two guys that you can just tell are more brothers than friends. Yes, we'd like to think that. Amazing chemistry. I have a suggestion for a show. Bring your wives on and have them answer questions about who they feel or what they feel about pipes and the hobby from significant others' point of view. Now that that is interesting.
No. Veto.
Now that is pretty interesting. I mean, wow.
All right, so this would not be a fair.
So my almost wife, who will be in
she's
less
inheriting
than a,
a pipe shop.
She would probably be game.
I'm sure that Christina would be too, but I can't imagine that she would have much that she could add to the discussion.
I don't know. She'd probably be like, well, I mean, every time Beau goes to see John David, he comes back,
Yeah, just put him in the shower.
I know, right? Yeah, I make him take all his clothes off on the porch, and like. That's interesting though. Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe next year for International Women's Day or
you never know.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, he goes on to say, anyways, I really enjoy smoking a pipe with you guys while I listen. Happy piping, and that's from Eric. Eric, man, thanks. We appreciate you a bunch, and love those iTunes reviews.
That's dang. It would have to be pre-recorded. We couldn't do it live.
No, I think it's gonna be fun.
Oh man! All right, if we do that, then we're getting the barbecue. That might have to be.
That's a pretty good bargaining chip.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
All right. We'll talk.
We'll think about it. All right. So this next one's up from Ryan Smith from Houma, Louisiana. He says, in the December 12th, 2017 episode, specifically the tobacco talk on that date, is the best love letter to McClelland in existence. Says it deserves a listen by anyone that loves tobacco and the McClelland brand. It made the almost exclusive Latakia. It made this almost exclusive Latakia and Burley smokers' mouth water for Virginia. John David spoke about the 40th anniversary and Christmas cheer like they were gifts from heaven.
Frankly, they were.
Oh man, and that of course is
Ryan
from
Smith. Houma, Louisiana. I have a lot of friends in that part of the world, and Ryan, man, thanks for writing in. That's really kind. Of course, that was a fun episode. We love tobacco talks, but man, just two of the most venerated tobaccos I could say from McClelland, even though 40th anniversary is a newer tobacco that they more recently came out with. They're just both excellent, and we we'll miss them both dearly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. And then we've got one final email that was sent in. Do you see that bottom one right there?
Yeah. From Foz Bennett, is that right?
That sounds right.
Yep. Beau wanted to recommend a graphic novel to you called The End League by Rick Remender, which is Dark Horse Comics' take on a popular Marvel and DC characters. The cover I have had Superman type along with a Rocketeer and Nick Fury played by Macarthur with a corncob pipe. So he has a corncob pipe. Give it a read, and that's from Foz Bennett. I didn't understand any of what he said until he said Macarthur and corncob pipe, but that sounds pretty interesting.
Nick Fury is kind of like the guy that gets all the Avengers together. In the movies, he's played by Samuel L. Jackson, and he's got the eye patch.
Okay, yeah.
So that the idea is that when they cast Samuel L. Jackson, they're like, all right, who's like the coolest BA guy we can beat to get Nick Fury? I think in the original Nick Fury movie, it was like Hasselhoff or something like that. So the idea that they would, quote unquote, cast Macarthur in the Nick Fury role is kind of brilliant. That's awesome. No, I'll definitely have to check that out. Great recommendation. And of course, we always love whenever the pipe pops up in popular culture. Man, we've also the Twitter tonight has been going crazy.
Yeah, Twitter's great, man. We've got our friend Eric Subtilis87. He's holding up a pipe in his photo. He's actually watching us live. Looks like he's in his living room, and he's asking if this is a Kisseroo pipe. And man, that is indeed one beautiful little pipe. This is a tiny pipe. It's got a small metal bowl, metal stem, and then of course the bamboo insert in the middle. Just real pretty pipe. Our dear friend Chase Abels is bringing out some Arrested Development. And frankly, Lucille on Arrested Development, I just feel like she speaks to my heart. I feel like there's just so much passive aggressive, bitter, just jewels that are there, and she's talking about, of course, one of her favorite kids that everyone else likes that she just doesn't really care for. So,
right.
Man, our kilted pipe guy, good friend, he says pancakes, waffles aren't a thing in Scotland. Scotch is a proper whiskey. None of that American rubbish.
Hey. Scotch is delicious, but don't come after my bourbon. All right, like let's acknowledge that each country has
its thing,
its specialties.
Right? No, that's right.
I'm not saying that all American whiskey is great. Trust me, I'm definitely not saying that. But you come after the Kentucky Bourbon, you better watch out. I'm just saying, brother. I'm just warning you in love.
I will say I would never pick a fight with a Scotsman.
And that's true. There's a whole ocean in the internet between us at the moment. So that's why I'm able to
that's fair.
Taking a strong stand.
Okay,
now.
That's fair. Yeah. Now, if he lived in Alabama, we might be having a different conversation.
That's a whole different conversation.
Right.
That's a whole different. And I'm not even pushing. Although some of that Alabama bourbon is not too bad either. That Clyde Mays
is good stuff.
That's good stuff. It's the only good thing that's ever come out of Alabama. What's
that's
next?
Good stuff. That's good stuff. Man, I think that's about it. We've got just a lot of folks wishing us a happy wedding week, which is really kind. And got some enjoying my first evening pipe smoke while watching of the year. Well, let's see. Enjoying my first evening pipe smoking while watching of the year. So I guess it's the first time. That's from our good friend at Portland Paul.
Paul. Busy
anyway,
man.
Yeah, man. Good crew tonight, and we're so thankful for y'all.
Absolutely, man. And it's appropriate, of course, this being the last podcast of your single life. That we've all been able to enjoy together as you get ready, prepared to walk down the aisle.
Yeah, man.
It's gonna be a fun weekend, but of course that means for our dear live listeners, this is the last time that we'll see y'all live for a couple of weeks. So just make sure that you do check out the podcast. For those of you who exclusively tune in live or exclusively watch the YouTube channel or something like that, don't worry, we've got content out next week, but it'll be through the podcast feed. So be sure, this is a great time, if you have not done so already, to check out the podcast.
Yeah.
iTunes, Satchel, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us. By the way, while you're there on the iTunes store subscribing to the show, be sure to just give us a little review. We love those 4 and 5 star reviews, and we also love to, of course, read those on the show whenever we get an opportunity. So definitely do that. Get some great content, a couple of special episodes coming your way over the next 2 weeks, and then we'll return for the live show 3 weeks from tonight.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy.
Of course, in the meantime, though, you can keep up with us with everything that's going on. Of course, we've got the big Xbox Live meetup tomorrow night that hopefully some of y'all will be able to join us for. And if for more of that, maybe over the next couple of weeks with no live show, be sure to follow us on Twitter. You can follow me. I'm at The Real Beau York.
I'm at John David Cole, or you can get us at the shop at _Country Squire.
And of course, the show's Twitter handle is @Squire Radio, and all that information and more can be found at countrysquireradio.com. It's so weird not like going through the whole these are the live times and everything.
I know,
else.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
That's
also
weird.
it's kind of nice. It's math that I don't have to do. Well, man, okay, so
dude, I had fun tonight. It's it's been really encouraging over the past several weeks to just to have a lot of great notes and, gosh, for that matter, gifts. I still can't believe our friends from Texas, just all the kind things that they sent my way and well wishes and everything. But y'all take really good care of both me and Beau, and we're very thankful for your friendship.
Absolutely,
we really
man.
are. So,
well, hey, let's go have a night.
See you, brother.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much.
Yeah, thanks, y'all. It's always good to spend Monday evening with you. So, man, we'll see you in, I guess 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
That's crazy,
That's a
man.
long time.
Gosh, I know.
I think.
What are you going to be doing? I know what I'm going to be doing, but what are you going to be doing?
All right. So the club members, the episode that we cut together was kind of a mess. So that's going to take some unique editing.
You're gonna edit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be editing that one, and I actually should have mentioned it on the actual show, but I'll also be playing catch up on the club member. We've got a lot of new club members that need to get their welcome packages out. So
okay, good.
I'll be doing some of that, and video games, because
it's
for the community, for the culture.
Because duh.
Yeah.
Market research.
# because video games. Bye, everybody.
Good night, y'all.